Looking more and more like there won't be a second debate, right?
Pete, they just cannot agree on how this is going to look. And this was the first question that many raised when Donald Trump's positive COVID-19 test came through, because it does seem just a bit counterintuitive to be able to go to a mass gathering like that, especially in Florida, which has been so hard hit by the coronavirus. But his campaign was adamant he would go ahead in person. It's this independent commission into the presidential debates that decides where and when they happen, and they've said that it needs to go online. And that's already sparked a war of words between the two campaigns. It was first Donald Trump's campaign that said clearly the commission wanted to shift attention away from Pence's complete victory, claiming victory in the vice presidential debate last night. As President Trump said, a virtual debate is a non-starter and would clearly be a gift to Biden because he would be relying on his teleprompter from his basement bunker. Now, the Biden campaign hasn't avoided any colourful language either. They've said Trump's erratic behaviour does not allow him to rewrite the calendar and pick new dates of his choosing. We look forward to participating in the final debate scheduled for October 22, which already is tied for the latest debate date in 40 years. Donald Trump can show up or he can decline again. That's his choice. Now, this is really going to be a critical issue going into those final days of the campaign, because everything has become about the coronavirus and Donald Trump's positive COVID-19 test. We still don't have the date of his last clear test, and so it's really difficult to know at what stage he is within his diagnosis and how much longer he'll be contagious. But he was speaking today from a video that he released, again, not sure of the date or time of when this was recorded, but saying that he's been given access to a miracle drug that he's going to make sure every other American gets access to.
To my favorite people in the world, the seniors. I'm a senior. I know you don't know that. Nobody knows that. Maybe you don't have to tell them, but I'm a senior. We are making tremendous progress with this horrible disease that was sent over by China. China will pay a big price for what they did to the world and to us.
Now, Pete, Donald Trump's been tweeting up a storm on everything you can imagine, including fracking, which is another issue that they want to highlight because it's important in key swing state Pennsylvania. But Joe Biden's stayed back from a lot of this discussion. He did respond, however, to their request to move the debate back and also do it in person. This is what he had to say.
We don't know what the president's going to do. He changes his mind every second. So for me to comment on that now would be irresponsible. I think that if I'm going to follow the commission recommendation, if he goes off and he's going to have a rally, I don't know what I'll do. We don't know enough to know right now. My inclination. I'll talk to you later about it. I don't know. I'm just hearing the same thing you're hearing as we're going. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth. Who knows?
And Annalise, the coronavirus response took centre stage at the vice presidential debate last night.
It was hard not to focus on that as the main topic when you had the two candidates forced to sit and talk through that Perspex screen, but it really was all about the coronavirus at the end of the day. Everyone really seemed to appreciate the fact this was a bit more of a civil tone in this debate. There was a bit more policy discussion. At the end of the day, though, that coronavirus response has been the key issue, especially the one the Democrats want to pin their electoral hope on. They want people out in the middle part of America that matters so much in those suburbs saying that the Trump administration hasn't done enough. And we saw that was Kamala Harris's really point where she tried to land a blow on Mike Pence.
China is to blame for the coronavirus. Fortunately, President Trump, in dealing with China from the outset of this administration, standing up to China that had been taking advantage of America for decades in the wake of Joe Biden's cheerleading for China, President Trump made that decision before the end of January to suspend all travel from China.
How calm were you when you were panicked about where you're going to get your next roll of toilet paper? How calm were you when your kids were sent home from school and you didn't know when they could go back? How calm were you when your children couldn't see your parents because you were afraid they could kill them?
Let's give Vice President Pence a chance to respond.
When you say what the American people have done over these last 8 months hasn't worked, that's a great disservice to the sacrifices the American people have made.
Now, of course, Pete, it's often not the big policy discussions that really take centre stage, but this time we saw it was a fly that landed on Mike Pence's head that's been doing the absolute rounds here in the US and sparked an absolute avalanche of memes. And so, really, there is still that novelty factor that decides what people care about after any major election event, and this year's just weirder than any other.